Now let's continue taking a look at Adobe Photoshop CS's creative side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an image here that was basically 3 photographs scanned at the same time on the scanner bed. And as you can see, each image is also a little bit crooked. Well, actually, they're a lot crooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the File menu, and inside Photoshop CS, we have a new automated task called Crop and Straighten Photos. This is amazing because it allows you to scan all your photographs that will fit on the glass at one time, and then have Photoshop individually straighten them and cut them into individual images. So as you can see now, Photoshop CS is generating the individual files for each image that I scan. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So I'm going to go ahead and close the original. And I noticed that this particular one is very dark in the statue area here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click to resize it. And now that I have it resized, as you can see, it's very dark. You can make out very little detail, if any, in the statue. Now it's time to take a look at one of our new features in the adjustments. So under Image Adjustment, I'm going to choose Shadow Highlight. This is an amazing technology that allows you to go in and just with a simple slider, adjust and lighten up the shadow areas. You can even show more options and get into more detail, including the highlights and the color correction. But again, I just want to do a simple correction, so I'm just going to continue to lighten up the shadow area and bring out the detail in the image. Even if you're a great photographer and you take great photographs all the time, I would dare say that that could even enhance even the best photographs just with a simple slider, and again, it doesn't cost anything to try it out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I notice that there's a bird in this image, and while the bird's great, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to remove it using the patch tool. So I'll just go ahead and make a very careful selection around the bird. Obviously I did not, but that's okay because now using the patch tool and using its new capability inside of Photoshop CS, watch what happens when I move it. I can actually see the area and see what's going to be replacing that area, which pattern. So once I let go, I get a nice seamless replacement. That's pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close this. And now we're going to take a look at Photoshop CS's new match color capability. So I'm going to pick 2 of my models here. Let me hit my tab key to get rid of my palettes. I'm going to pick one that has some great highlights and great lighting. I'm going to pick another one that doesn't have good lighting. So I'll just hit my return key or enter key to open both of those. And so I have the one that looks good and the one that's a little too dark. So with the one that's selected that's a little too dark, what I'm going to do is go up to my image menu, come down to another new adjustment called Match Color. With Match Color, all I have to simply do is go in and pick the image that will be the source of my color. So I'll go ahead and pick the model source here and just simply click OK. And as you can see, now my image has been lightened and the color has been matched to the one before. So this is before and this is after. Wow, what a big difference. So let's try it again, this time with a totally different image. Let's undo it. Let's bring up another image here. And again, this image came from a raw image, or actually from my Olympus camera here. And we'll just go ahead and bring it in with the default settings. So now that we have this image open, we'll go up to our window menu. We'll come down to the darker image. And once again, we can do the same match color technique, where we'll go up to Image, Adjustments, Match Color. And then we'll just simply pick the source that came from our Photoshop raw image. Click OK, and now we get a different look matching the color from this totally different image. So I like this one a little bit better because it's actually a little bit less red. And of course, you can continue enhancing it with Photoshop CS's new capabilities. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'll close this next one. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at editable keyboard shortcuts. Photoshop, for the first time, now has a keyboard shortcut editor. So no longer do you have to live with the keyboard shortcuts that Adobe dictates. And if your favorite command doesn't have a keyboard shortcut, you can go in and give it one now. So it's organized by the menus. So for example, under the image menu, one of the commands that I use all the time is the image size command. So if I click on image size, I notice that it does not have a keyboard shortcut. Now I could do Command I, or I could do anything I want, but chances are I might accidentally pick something that's already been taken. So I'm going to do a little bit more complicated keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to do Command Option Shift I. And now we'll go ahead and put it in, and had it been taken, it would have warned me and given me the choice to either accept the new one that I just typed in or to revert back and then give it another try. So I can accept that, or I can just cancel out of it if I don't want to make any alterations at this point. Okay. Next thing we want to do is take a look at text on a path. So we'll go back to our file browser, and the image that we want, let's go up a level. We'll go into our design folder, and we'll pick this image, the one in the middle here. We'll bring our palettes back up, and we'll minimize the file browser behind it. And you'll notice that we have some text here that's actually on a path. That is one of Photoshop CS's new features, is the ability to have text on a path now, or type on a path. But unlike other products, it doesn't have a type on a path tool because it doesn't need one. You simply create the path with your path tool of choice, for example, the pen tool, and then you can just simply click on that path and make changes or add type. So I'm going to go ahead and change the word Kyoto to Tokyo. And now that I've made my change, I can accept that change, and I'm ready to go. The next thing we want to do is take a look at the filter gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my layers palette, because we're going to use this to duplicate one of the layer sets. We have a layer set called Model. I'm going to select the layer set, and then I'm going to go up to my flyout menu, and I'm just going to simply say Duplicate Layer Set. That'll ask me for a new name. I'll just leave it Copy for now. And then I'm going to go inside of that layer, and I'm going to click on, I'm going to go inside that layer set, and I'm going to click on the layer that's there. With the layer that's there, we can go in and we can run filters as we always have in Photoshop, but now in Photoshop CS, we have something called the filter gallery. And the filter gallery allows us to see several filters at once and what their effects would be. And we can go in, and they're organized just like they would be under the menu by different folders, and we can get an idea of what that filter will do to the image. And we can click it and apply it and see what it would look like before we actually commit to it. So for example, I'm going to go in and go back to brush strokes. And with brush strokes, I can see what it would look like with angled strokes. I could see what it would look like with crosshatch. I could see what it would look like with dark strokes. Kind of get that Chardet looking image there. And once I'm satisfied with it, whichever one I want to pick, in this case I'm going to go back and pick on accented edges. And I can also go in and access all of the controls for this. So I want a width of 2, a brightness of 30, and a smoothness of 8. And again, I'm seeing what the image would look like over here before I actually commit to running the filter. So I'll go ahead and run the filter. And also, for those of you who like layers, some people say they can never have enough. So we have tons of layers now that we can have inside of Photoshop, thousands as a matter of fact. And now we also have the ability to have nested layers. And that's layers within layers within layer sets. So for example, I have nested layer sets here. The next thing I'd like to do is talk about something that's actually a little bit more a little bit more important for the designer, and that is layer comps. Layer comps allows you to quickly show different states of the layers without having to manually go in and turn them on and off. So, for example, we'll go up to our window menu and we'll come down to layer comps. And right now I have one layer comp called Design 1, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. So I'll just say a new layer comp, and we'll call it Design 2. And in the comments area, we'll say that we added a filter, and we changed the type to Tokyo. Okay. We also want to make sure that the layer comp takes into account the position of the layers and the appearance or layer styles. So we'll click OK, and now we have a new layer comp called Design 1. At any given time, we can go back and see what it looked like with, Design 2 versus Design 1. So now this is what Design 1 looked like, and now we can go back and see what Design 2 looks like. And we can save as many different layer comps as we want. Now, layer comps are one thing, and that basically ties into Photoshop and being able to show your customer or your client what the images look like on screen just by turning on and off various layers. But you can also go in, for example, and work with something called version queue. Actually, before we do that, there's one more layer set that I want to create. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my type layers here, and I'm going to turn off the type. And we'll make one more layer set, and we'll call it Design Layer Comp, and we'll call it Design 3. And we'll just call it, for the comment, we'll say no type. So we'll click OK, and again, now we have another layer comp, this one with the type, this one without the filter with the type. So again, we can just simply turn on and off and adjust layers, and also at any given time save those as layer comps. And that's saving everything in this one file. However, with the Creative Suite, whether it's the standard suite or the professional or the premium suite, you have the ability to have a set of underlying technology called version queue that allows you to work not only with just Photoshop images, but Illustrator, InDesign, and the ability to also work with websites in version queue and do your own versioning so that you don't necessarily have to keep track of certain layers inside the document. You can actually just create different versions of the document. So I'm going to go up to my File menu, and I'm going to choose Save As. Now, of course, I can save this into my operating system or into my desktop or file server as I always did before, but now we have a button that you can activate inside the preferences called Version Queue. So I'll go ahead and click on Version Queue, and instead of giving me my file system, it will actually give me my version queue documents that I have access to, or projects, I should say. So there is a project called Adobe CS Demo. I'm going to go ahead and open up that project and open up the Documents folder for that project. And I'm going to save this as a version called Layer Comps TW. So we'll go ahead and save that in there. Now if I make any other changes to the document, I will have the ability to save a version of that. So for example, I can go into my layers, and let's say that I turn off that new layer set that I added, and I also turn off, let's see what else we have here. Let's turn off the bottom graphic. Now, as you can see, the minute I started making changes, what Photoshop did was told me that this particular document, it automatically checked it out of the asset management and version queue. So it's in use by me. So the minute I go in and make any changes to it, I can save a new version, or I can continue working on this document locally on my hard drive. So I'm going to save a version of this. And now, instead of giving me the opportunity to pick a different file name, it basically comes up and just simply says, for version 2, what is your comment? In other words, what did you do? What would you like to alert yourself or alert others of what the changes are? So I'll say turned off bottom graphic and the model copy layer set. So now we'll save that version, and notice it's uploading it, and that means that it's basically, it could be uploading it to a file server so others would have access to your versions, or in this case it's just uploading another copy to another space on my local hard drive. And notice now that the document says available, meaning that anyone else that has access to this project can go in and start working with this photograph, and again it will automatically check it out. But if I make any changes whatsoever, if I go in and select something and move something, then it will automatically check it out again and say it's in use by me. At any given time, you can go up to the File menu and check out the versions that you've been working on. So if I go to Versions, I don't have to open them up. It will actually show me a thumbnail and show me the comments of each one. So right now, this is the current version, version 2, that was last edited by me. It gives me the date and time. And it also shows me the comment. At any given time, I can take a version that's a past version and promote it to the current version. Maybe the client liked the one I did 2 days ago better. Or I can open up a previous version. Or, of course, if I'm running low on file or hard drive space, I can delete past versions that we know we won't want to go back to. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done. And we'll go ahead and simply close this document. The next thing we want to talk about is Photoshop CS's new support for people that do video with non-square pixel support. As many of you know, when you're doing video, the pixels in video are not square. They're not. They're actually rectangular. So, for example, in the File menu now, when you say New, we have some video presets just like we did before. But our video presets now incorporate not only non-square pixels like 720 by 480, but also with the guides for title and action safe. So I'll go ahead and choose 720 by 480. And that will show me the document. But under the View menu, I have the ability to turn on and turn off pixel aspect ratio correction. So if I turn it off, you'll see that my image gets wider. And if I turn it on, then it will show me my image getting narrower. So to show you what this looks like in a real world scenario, let's close this document. Let's go back to our file browser. And let's go up a level. Scroll down. And we'll go into our video folder here. Actually, we can get to it here. Okay, so here we have a situation where the image looks perfectly normal, like a widescreen or HD TV. But if I go in and turn off the pixel aspect ratio correction, then it goes to more of a square pixel. So it shows me that the image looks distorted here, and that's fine because we're working inside of Photoshop with square pixels. But if I went into my pixel aspect ratio correction, then I would see it the way it would normally look on television or on digital video. So that's a pretty amazing thing and something that our video customers have been asking for a long time now.